The number one thing that was lacking is the teachers. We did not have enough teachers to teach us. There was a ragging culture, but the ragging was also, in some cases it may be different, but in many cases it was very friendly. One thing I eliminated in college is extracurricular activities. We have received amazing placement from TCS, Tata Consulting Services. That's the first company that came.
Welcome to the first ever episode of Kahaniya. And with us today is a guest whose achievements, if I start mentioning, are endless. Starting off his journey as an early Java engineer in TCS, switching off his career path to sales and then working in big companies such as Oracle, VMware, Borland, switching on his entire career path, choosing entrepreneurship and building 2 startups worth multi-million dollars in revenue. We welcome Sudanshu Pati sir to our podcast. Welcome to the show. We will start from the very basic of how sir went into REC, the entire preparation phase. I think at that time it was called as AIEEE.
It used to be called REC.
Okay, no, the exam.
Yeah.
It was called as AIEEE, right?
Yes.
And then getting on from there to starting on, then getting into college, living the REC life, and then moving forward, shifting to California, doing your job, shifting to entrepreneurship, the entire journey. So you can start off.
Absolutely. So let me just introduce myself. My Sudanshu Pati. I joined REC in 1993 and graduated in 1997. So currently live in California. I can start with a little bit about my background. I come from Odisha, a city called Berhampur, and getting into NIT would be, or REC would be one of the first topics. So really it is a tough competition because you have to clear the JEE entrance examination to get into either RECs around the country or any of the state colleges that are funded by the government. So at the same time, you also have to do well with your 10+2 intermediate studies. So I took actually an extra year to prepare myself for this, and it was joined some coaching classes and a lot of self-learning. But I was very fortunate to get a very good score in the JEE entrance examination, and so that's how I got in. Odisha did not have a computer science branch in the college. So I came in as an electrical engineer, but my passion was always, getting embedded with computers, computer engineering, computer science, information technology. So, I did, very well in the first year here and changed my branch to computer science. So that's kind of how I got in from where I was in Odisha and to a computer science branch.
So since you changed your branch in your first year, this means that you have been an excellent student during your college times, because it's a little difficult when it comes to changing branch. So moving forward, like living in here, over that time, I think this used to look different. This college used to look different. How was the professor to college to student relation, and how were your life back then with your friends and the campus life itself?
Absolutely. So we are talking about an era where there was no internet, no smartphones, no personal computers, and really little things as communicating with others over phone, even with parents, was very difficult because we had to go to SMC to even make a phone call. So at that time, the college was very it wasn't as mature as it's today in some of these branches like computer science and electronics. Things were still being developing here, and not just here, in around the country as well. But we came in, and unfortunately that year we had, or fortunately, a huge flood. So getting to the college was also extremely difficult. It took 3 days, bus and train continuous journey just to get here. And not just me, everybody faced the same problem. And also we started a month late. We were supposed to start in July. I think we started late August or early September. So the next topic comes, student to teacher interaction. So we did not have as many faculty members as you guys have today. I still understand that the faculty to student ratio may be same or different, but at that time we had a little bit of trouble getting the faculty, into this institution, because there were a lot of other problems outside of this place being remote. There were flood issues and other issues that the faculty faced. We had somewhat of a reasonable discussions, openness between the student and the faculty. But we were still, coming from the home, right, from Odisha, we were always being told by the parents to obey the teachers and things like that. So we are always afraid to approach a professor unless there is something, or teacher, unless there is something urgent. So I would say that the openness in terms of communication between the student and professors, or the lecturers, or the faculty, was not as much as it needed to be. And this is why we relied heavily on our seniors and our friends, and outside college resources to college campus to get the information that we needed.
Sir, as you mentioned about your junior to senior relation or batchmate to senior relation, how was it back then? Were there this ragging culture, or it was like friendly enough for you all to have a conversation with a senior?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a ragging culture, but the ragging was also, in some cases, it may be different, but in many cases, it was very friendly. The seniors would ask few questions, and they just want the people leaving their home and coming here not to feel homesick. And they wanted to make sure that the newcomers have the support system. Because I arrived with my father, and immediately, just as soon as I entered the campus, there were at least 7 or 8 seniors, 2-year seniors. Seniors, they ran to the corner. We used to call the corner, to greet us. Me and my father, they immediately took us to their rooms. They explained us the college culture. So we had, and that used to be called ragging, right? And sometimes there were a little bit of physical interactions there, but at the end of the day, it was a friendly environment, and there was a ragging period. Actually, dates were already identified. So after the ragging period, all of our seniors actually greeted us with parties and a lot of different things, and a lot of help in the books and assignments and coaching and guidance. And those seniors remained connected with us throughout our life at NIT and or at that time REC. So I think the culture was amazing. The interaction between the junior batch and the senior batch was absolutely phenomenal. I think a lot of stuff that we were able to achieve, the motivation, the educational resources, the tips of how to be successful in specific subjects, a lot of that came from our seniors, actually.
Talking about networking in college, we notice one thing that like in college phase, do a student today in 2023 studying in an engineering college needs to network with their alumni or with their seniors? Should they involve in this extra-curricular activity where it takes time to actually network to people, because you have to search people on LinkedIn, you have to go physically meet people. It's a time-consuming process apart from your studies. So do you still think that it is an important aspect for their career in future?
Yeah, absolutely. Networking is very important, for engineering students, any professional career, medical students, engineering students, and also the graduate students that are doing PhDs or masters. And I'll give you a quick example. For example, in the United States or anywhere else in the Europe, Australia too, and people go to MBA just for networking. Their only purpose to get into these graduate studies in management is to network with other people. For us, networking was extremely easy because the only way we could communicate with one another is direct physical face-to-face discussions, because we did not have phones and other channels. Today, networking is very difficult for many reasons. First reason, you have so many people in this institution. You are always struggling, who do I network and how? And the second thing is a lot of the needs, day-to-day needs, are served just through text messaging and phone calls. So what I would recommend for people, for the students who are in the engineering college, is network effectively. What that means is that there are chances of organic or natural networking that just bound to happen. For example, if you are in a group discussion, or if you are in a project, or if you are interacting in your section with the professor, so there is a good amount of networking you can do without spending any extra time. There is some additional networking you can do just by focusing on specific topics, such as if you are a civil engineer, if you are mechanical engineer, you are passionate about certain subjects, there may be other people passionate about that same subject. Or extracurricular activity, maybe you play guitar or violin, but so there will be other people. So networking with those people are easy for you because similar minded people are coming together. Now, networking beyond these organic or natural networking exercises, yes, will consume a little bit of time, but I do recommend each student to expand the comfort zone, which is the organic natural networking or common interest networking, to go beyond a little bit to understand and connect with people, and because those are the people that will help you quite a bit on your in future. But also too much networking will affect your purpose of coming to this institution. Then you are always networking but not focusing on your studies. So one other recommendation I may have for you is create your brand, because you always don't need to spend time to do network with others. Give that opportunity to others also. So if you create a brand for yourself, such as a specialization on certain topics, certain passion about certain area, people will automatically come to you. They'll call you, they want to meet with you. So then you are networking with others, not the expense of your time, but the expense of others' time and interest as well.
So moving again back onto your journey of being in the college. So we know you were a CS student. So how was your CS journey like after electrical from second year onwards, the next 3 years CS? And then since you again shifted to sales later on, and that's another interesting part that I would like to hear from you, from CS to sales.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And first of all, coming to this college itself was a huge thing for me, because that was the first time I actually left Odisha, and making a journey for 3 full days via train and bus and all those different means was really hard. And from there, competing against people from all over India to secure a seat in computer science was a tough job. Because we are talking about people who scored really, really high in JEE all over India and joined in the REC. So we, luckily for that particular year, we had 4 computer science seats available. So somehow I came in the top 5 in the institution, basically for our first semester exam. And I was very fortunate to secure a computer science seat, but it was a really excellent moment for me to go through that transition from electrical to computer science. After I got into computer science, then the journey for computer science began. Basically, the challenge for us was that not all the mechanism of helping a student to graduate in computer science was there in this college. The number one thing that was lacking is the teachers. We did not have enough teachers to teach us. So a lot of these things that we studied through our own discussions, through our own knowledge, through our own way of understanding things, and helping each other was the way we could overcome some of the challenges. We used the labs, but we did not have enough faculty and others to guide us to work in the lab. So we struggled quite a bit on our own, and in many ways that probably worked better for us, because it helped us to be more innovative. It helped us to look beyond the natural or the resources available to us to get ourselves educated. But there was quite a bit of struggle especially in the computer science branch for us to get through those 4 years.
So moving forward, how did you thought like sales would be your next thing, and like entrepreneurship is what was calling you other than job?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question, because I was very timid. I was more into studies, and really because I was the topper on the branch, and it's called valedictorian. So everybody relied on me for answers, to computer science problems. So it ultimately, once I became the topper, it became a responsibility of me to help others, right? So I would write the assignments and help others. I write those, understand those questions and problems and write those and explain to others. So kind of I was doing a little bit of study help for the others, right? So I did not develop my soft skills when I was in NIT. I had a very tough time communicating with people. Even within India, I had a tough time even speaking well in English, right? So I faced all those challenges, and but I think what really ultimately happened was I recognized all of my weaknesses, being able to stand in confidence, and opening up and spark an interaction with a executive or a peer and others. So I decided how I fix this. So once I moved to New York, on a Java developer job through TCS. I decided that I will handle this problem on my own. So I joined certain public speaking forums. One of them is called the Toastmasters. So you can join. These are available everywhere. In India, I'm not aware if these things are available, but essentially it's a public speaking group. And you can pick a topic and speak in front of public. So it's that helped me with the stage fearness, and speaking to my own peers, and a lot of other things that happens when you are trying to speak in front of public, right? You are unable to organize these sentences and other things in your mind. So all those things improved significantly. And then naturally I started speaking more than I used to speak before, and then started talking to customers, making new customers. So others started noticing it. And there's even Tata Consulting Services where I joined. They realized that I'm good at talk. At least I'm good at approaching people. I'm good at repeating myself and explaining the problem or solutions to them. I'm good at myself following with this customer. Even though I had those communication challenges, I was still trying. So they recognized that this individual is interested in working with the customer. That was the take back from me, even within TCS. So they actually put me into a customer-facing role in Chennai, where my primary job was to interface with the customers and then get their feedback on the R&D tools that our team was developing and incorporate those feedbacks into the solutions. And as soon as I moved to New York, I joined as a developer, but I position myself as a more of a customer-facing person who would do demonstrations, presentations to the customer, take an extra time to build those PowerPoints, build those sales material, build those talking points, and also use those talking points to within our team to educate our team as well. So slowly, I started building confidence in myself, and people did not expect that from me when they were in the college. I was very shy. I was not talking to anybody. I was talking to people, but not as much as I started talking. But then suddenly, when I started interviewing with Borland, and I was actually interviewing for a delivery job. But they recognized that, hey, you could be a great sales candidate. And they did offer me the position, and I took it.
So as you shared your college place and in college journey of how you have been in this last 3 and 4 years from switching branch to actually focusing on branch, just one last thing I would like to ask you. Then we will move forward with your placement journey. So in college, were you the person who used to more focus on the research segment, or you used to be that person who used to is like whatever given and necessary needs to be studied, I will study that, and in my extra time I will do something else, work on something else?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. So one thing I eliminated in college is extracurricular activities as much as possible, because I do understand the value of it, but under serious pressure of remaining as a topper in the college and helping other students, I had to sacrifice a lot of extracurricular activities like playing cricket and other things. So I had to sacrifice that. So what that really means is that I got enormous amount of time that other people did not dedicate towards studies. I did study on everything that was required by the academia, the teachers' notes and the books and everything. But I went to library a lot and studied things outside of what was needed. I was always reading computer magazines to look beyond, what this institution has to offer, different research projects and other things. And I was also interested in space, mining, and quite a bit of other things that was, not, directly computer related. So that way, I kept myself up to date with the industry's particular needs and how to apply the education that we are receiving in outside world. So I wanted to make sure that I'm as much possible as technically apt to compete effectively in the industry outside of the institution.
Okay, seems you have been a very good student in your college times with being the first ranker for all throughout 4 years. How was placements?
So placement was not as great, but very fortunately, we have received amazing placement from TCS, Tata Consulting Services. That's the first company that came. and I was recruited through that. There were other companies came, but our placement for 1997 batch was significantly better than the previous batch, which was 96 batch. But it was, I think our placement was probably less than 30%, I would say. From our strength were placed. So a lot of the students who didn't get a job, they had to struggle a little bit. But ultimately they got through, and now they are all in great positions. But placement was not as great compared to other NITs around the country.
So can you give us a reveal, or can you give us a number of how the CTC back then was?
TCS.
Yes, TCS.
Yeah. So TCS was still a growing company. It was not as a large company. My employee number was less than 9,000. And today there are 4-5 lakh employees there. So when TCS came in, we started discussing ourselves what would be the mechanism for them to take students. So we heard that there were 3 levels. One is an aptitude test, then there was a human resources or kind of psychology test, and the third one was the interview. So I was very confident that I will be selected in the interview because I've been doing top in the college. Even though my communication skills were not that great, I was still confident that someone like TCS will pick me because they want to pick the topper, right? I just had to make sure that I do well in the aptitude test and this HR test. We had literally no preparation, so we were thrown into an exam, and luckily we got cleared, and some people did not clear, but it was not a concerted or well thought out plan. For example, even for the interviews, we did not have tie and shoes. What we were doing is one person finished interview, and then we were taking their shoes and their tie, and the next person interviewing with the same tie and shoes. And sometimes these TCS recruiters were asking, "Oh, we have seen those shoes and ties before." So that was our thing. But it was helping each other was a way for us to understand the type of questions they were asking. So that's how we were able to get through the interviews. But it was a little tense moment for us because we had no experience on what to expect and what the results will be. So we faced this, and luckily I got through. But many of us actually did not get through these interviews and the campus.
And as TCS started, now your TCS, I guess your placement was outside India?
The first placement was in Calcutta for 3 months of training. So I lived in Salt Lake City with a couple of my batchmates, and then moved to Chennai, where I was there for a little over a year. And TCS found a client in New York City. It's called AIG, American International Group. AIG is the largest reinsurance company in the world, basically. So they had an opening for Java developer. So at that time, I was one of the very few people actually in the company who knew Java, because Java was still being developed at that time. So luckily, I found some books and some labs in Chennai to study and prepare myself. And there was a client interview from New York, and I did very well in the interview. And then client selected me. TCS got the client letter, and through that letter, I got the visa, and that's how I went to New York City.
So now, since you seen a difference from Indian culture to shifting to New York, how did this difference in culture really helped you bringing together, and how staying there with the client and with TCS in USA, how did that entire scenario went?
Yeah, it was a shocking difference, because the only way I was exposed to any culture outside of India was through movies. I did not have any interaction with any foreigners or anybody from outside India. So this difference in culture was one of the big things I had to get through. The way we speak English here is not the way they speak there. Right now, the way people speak are being normalized or rationalized. So everybody start to speak the same way. But it was very different. It was really tough to really understand them because even in US, different communities of people speak differently. Southern US speaks differently. The African American community, they speak differently. The Other populations, they speak differently. So it was a huge language challenge, huge culture shock. And on top of that, we were facing the corporate culture is dramatically different. But the corporate culture was actually better there, smooth there. Here we were working so hard, 17, 18, 16, 15 hours, late nights. But there people don't expect us to work that much. So in that way, it was good. Us trying to find a place to live and commute to work without any license, driver's license and other things, that taking a bus, and also those challenges remained. But I guess because of those early challenges that we faced, that made us what we are today. So I'm very thankful for all the challenges I had, but it was quite a bit of journey going from Chennai to New York.
So from going Chennai to New York, that was a journey that you had faced in TCS, being in a job. Now moving from this job to your entrepreneurship journey, how did this happen during this entire TCS scenario?
Right. So this happened progressively in the mind. So essentially, the first thing that happened to me was I moved from a developer job to a sales job, and that did not come accidentally or naturally. What did happen was I prepared myself to be more and more customer facing from the day one I joined as a developer. And how? Because I took some extra steps to go back to the customer and explain the value of the solution or the programs that I was writing. Mostly developers don't do that. They just complete the programs, they compile it, they test it, they document it, and they release it. Their work is done. But people started seeing that I'm doing a little bit more than just building the code. I'm talking to the architects. I'm talking to the business analysts. So, and they were very interested in talking to the developers because somebody is taking an extra step to help them do their job well. And slowly, my interactions within the company with other teams started increasing, helped me build the confidence. And when I saw an opening as a sales engineer at Borland, and I was actually in New York. The Borland job was in California. So I did move to California on my own. And then I saw that there is a position that is open, and I applied to it. I thought I would do really well, though I had no sales experience. And there were multiple rounds, at least 7 or 8 rounds of interviews at Borland. The entire day I was being interviewed, almost 3-4 hours of interviewing. And I was being interviewed by some of the top salesmen of the country, that for that company, and some of the top technical people, and they really found me very passionate, and that's how offered me the job to be a sales engineer.
So after Borland and after your interview, since first you got into the new job that you started with in the new sales scenario, how was now sales, like, since it's a very different domain other than engineering and other than your Java job? So how was getting structured with that, since first it was your first job when it comes to sales, and after clearing all these interviews, it's once you clear the interviews, you feel like that, okay, now I think I can sustain the job as well because I cleared the interview smoothly. So how was sales in?
Thank you so much for the question. So I was the youngest sales engineer for the company forever because I was only 24 years old, and the next person was 35 years old. So usually you get these jobs when you're in the 30s. You don't get these sales jobs in your 20s. And I was looking very young, and most of my colleagues, they were shocked me doing a sales job, and they did not feel that I was actually qualified. So I was put under test from day one because there were people in 50s and 60s in the sales jobs, right? So competing against this type of crowd, they're born and brought up in the United States. I'm coming as an immigrant. I have a lot of challenges because I have challenges with visa and other things. It was really hard, but I struggled initially to make an impact, but slowly I picked certain things that worked really, really well for me. One is technical competence. So if you're really, really confident technically, a lot of your problems will be solved because the customers will be attracted to come to you because they are looking for the top technical talent. They'll find their way to come to you. Maybe there is a little bit of a trouble in getting the message across or them understanding us, but they'll at least make an attempt. So I focused hugely on my technical competence, did very well. I wrote almost 50 ebooks when I joined Borland. I participated in Toastmasters, started improving my communication skills. So, slowly, progressively, I became better and better and better, and I received a number of top sales awards at Borland. The top trainer of the year award, best sales engineer of the year award, rookie of the half. So, number of awards that typically a 24-year-old doesn't get it. And they always used to make joke of me. They used to call me like a kid or a little boy. Those type of comments used to come. But they were also very happy that someone at that young age and coming to the company and also an immigrant is becoming so successful at Borland.
It feels very inspiring listening from you about this entire, at age 24. Even today, I guess at age 24, there are very few people who achieve a lot at your heights that you achieved back then. Since it was like now sales, from software to sales engineers. Now from sales engineer, when did you feel like that, okay, it's like we have done job for a good amount of period, good amount of time. Now let's switch to something of my own and let's start something of my own which can actually impact the world. And the reason behind of why you wanted to start it, that something of your own.
Absolutely. So one thing that always motivated me is problem solving skills. So problem solving skills is a very broad topic. But when you are really good at a specific thing, it doesn't have to be technology, it could be something else. You would automatically see a problem, you will find a problem, spot a problem at a customer environment, because this becomes your natural instinct. And then you already have the solution. So matching the problem to the solution and really convincing the solution, that is kind of what sales is all about. And I did really, really well. After Borland, I joined Oracle. And when I joined Oracle, I received a number of promotions there. I received their Sales Engineer of the Year award, which is supposed to be the most prestigious award at Oracle. They had 106,000 employees at that time. And being the top engineer of the country is a significant achievement. So I received that award, so that built the confidence. So I'm always taking the sales to the next level. That's why they were offering me those awards and promotions. So after I finished at Oracle, I've done 5 years at Oracle, I felt like I can actually do something on my own. Do something on my own means what? Build a solution package that can be implemented at the customer side. But I did not have all the sales skills needed. I have some sales skills, but not all the sales skills needed. So I was starting to think when I had 5 years at Oracle. By the way, I went to the Oracle President's Club. President's Club is a top achiever award for that year, and they take those top achievers, 50 of us out of 106,000 employees, only 50, they take it to a club. Club means so I went to Banff, Canada, and it was an amazing thing, amazing experience. So with all that confidence, I thought I could start, but at that time I joined VMware. After Oracle, I joined VMware. I was there for 2.5 years, and then opportunity came along. I luckily got connected with 2 other individuals who were of similar interest, and they had the tremendous sales skills and corporate operation skills. So with that combination of 3 people, I felt like a corporation can be started, because the things that I felt was lacking on me were fulfilled by those other 2 individuals. And at that time, I felt very confident, left VMware job and started the company.
So, and how did you're founding or co-founders? Since it is said that the first and most important thing in starting your own of something of an entrepreneurial journey is to find a co-founder. And the second most important thing is to find your first set of employees. So how was this journey of now getting your first set of employees and getting your co-founder, trying to build a trust with him, because trust is the most important aspect, as we understand, and then building the product, marketing it out, creating the MVP, how did this entire segment went down now?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So a lot of trust was built because one of the co-founders, I worked with him on the same team for a year and a half. And we were given a quota at VMware, and we actually did almost 3 times of that quota, and we received enormous amount of commission and awards and accolades because of our significant sales growth we brought to the company. So there was trust already built, and other trust that is built because of the industry reputation. I've written a lot of books, spoken in a lot of conferences, so my presence in the internet and presence in a company event that speaks for itself. The other type of trust that has built is them seeing me working and being effective at the customer environment. So the customers always speak highly about me. They spoke highly about me, my performance, and other things. But of course, the competence as an entrepreneurship at that point is to be tested and to be seen, but there was enough of technical competence, sales competence for those partners to accept me. From my side, I evaluated both of them. I needed someone with the tremendous corporation management skills. So that was John Koss who brought it to us. And there was Paul Wong who brought tremendous amount of sales skills that I felt like is needed. And I brought the technical skills. So 3 of us were an excellent combination to get things started. Your next question goes, how do you acquire your first set of customers? So typically what happens is when you're starting a company with no funding, right? It was a self-funded company, and it's mostly a consulting, solution selling, packaging and selling company. We had quite a bit of connections through our sales that we have done in our previous careers, VMwares and Oracles. We leveraged those contacts to get access to the projects, because at that time we had no brand of our company. Our company's brand didn't really matter to them because it was just the company name was just formed. So a lot of these, the initial projects that we got the projects because of our own personal brand that has been seen over a number of years by them.
So today, entrepreneurship is still highlighted just because of Shark Tank coming into India and the entire visuals. Entrepreneurship is today celebrated. Mm-hmm. But back in your time, entrepreneurship was not a very highlighted thing to be done, right? And I don't know how the culture in US used to be, but in India, it was mostly about getting a job, settling down, mostly become an engineer or a doctor, settling down, having kids, and then chilling life, right? So apart from them, you again trying to get into your hustle mode, leaving your job, getting into this new zone of startups, building a product. How does your mindset at that point was that why should I start of something of my own? Like from where did it came from, this internal motivation?
Right. There were 2-3 things that was going through my mind. One is I'm already in sales for a number of years. Since 2000, I'm doing sales. In 2013, I started my own company. It's been 13 years of journey in sales, interacted with hundreds of customers all around US. So it built a sense of confidence on me that if I can sell a solution package of a company and be so effective receiving the top sales awards, maybe I can rebrand it in my new company name and try to sell it. So that confidence came from the significant performance achievements through previous companies. Now, actually taking the company forward is a completely different story. What typically happens when you are an employee or a top performer, a number of you will receive quite a bit of appreciation, awards, and all those things. That very natural because the company will always try to keep their top performers in the company. But as soon as you leave that company behind and you are starting your own company, you are on your own with no brand, and frankly, the personal achievements don't matter that much. It matters to some extent, but not that much, because now you're representing a company. So anybody who's trying to give a business, they're not giving a business to you, they're giving the business to the company. So they're always thinking that there is a risk that this company may shut down and they may lose their money. So those type of places where initial projects were extremely difficult, but through great personal connections and professional connections, I was able to convince a few customers to get their projects. And some of the projects we did not do at a profit. Some of the projects we just do at cost or very little profit, or maybe a little bit loss also, right? But slowly, those initial projects started becoming essentially think of it, started building our assets, our intellectual property. We started reusing the same processes, same methods, and across other companies, and to provide similar benefits. So we kept this, we delivered so well that the companies were very happy to become a reference for us for other companies. So those type of things helped us. A lot of success in the initial phases helped us, and more success in future. Hiring employees was an extremely huge challenge, because no employee wants to work for a startup company that just started. So we had to provide a lot of different incentives, to the new employees that they would normally not receive from a bigger company. And those incentives were not always money. Those incentives were additional training, there's something that they need personally, their additional personal growth, additional certification, additional time that they needed for like a long vacation that they needed, they cannot get from other. So we provided a little bit more than what the other companies would offer. So that's how we attracted this new employees, and we made sure that they are very happy, so that they don't leave, and then continued that culture throughout our company.
So it's been a good year, number of years, you doing job and then living an entrepreneurial life. Today, as students, there is still a risk of starting an entrepreneurial journey, maybe a VC-backed startup or even a bootstrap startup. It's maybe building a product for tech or non-tech sales product as well. How do you say today's generation, our batch of maybe 2024 pass out, 2025 pass out, what do you think should be their mindset of, should they start a startup right after their college, or should they first focus on getting a job, getting some money in their pockets, and then starting out?
So I would suggest, to finish your graduate study.
Gotcha.
I would suggest, like, complete your bachelor's, but go for master's also, because what typically happens in the bachelor's, most of the things are academic in nature. And of course, in the final years, you get some internships, some exposure to the industry. But in the master's, you will start writing theses, and you will have to explain and those theses to various teams. So you will get a little bit of a feel of a corporate culture. And those master studies will also help you, because also in the master studies, you will start to see specialized topics. Those are industry trends. You don't see those in your undergraduate studies like bachelor's, because bachelor's academia syllabus is fixed. In the master's, you can pick your topic of interest and you can research on that. Would you go as far as PhD? I would suggest no, unless you want to go into academia and research. But master's is something is really needed. Now, going from a corporate world to an entrepreneurship world, yes, some people can start right away, but without corporate experience is very hard. So I would suggest people get into a corporate world and pick an area of their passion, sales, marketing, or development, or some area where you can research. One other thing you can actually do if you're working for a large corporation, because they have a lot of training and other resources available. For example, when I was in TCS, I was not only doing my job in the project, I was also learning Java, which was not part of my job. But I was able to get access to computers and other resources and study material, and to learn Java on my own. I used to go there at 10 p.m. at night and come at 4 a.m. just to learn Java. So those are the things you could do. And nobody complained, because those computers were free for use for us as trainees. So those are the things you can do, a little bit extra work, a little bit hard work, to learn as much as possible about the corporate culture, and also learn the specific areas where you want to do entrepreneurship. But once you enter into the entrepreneurship, a lot of challenges will begin, including corporation management, hiring employees and retaining employees and training them. Those things will be huge challenges. Funding is always going to be challenged, not only just the initial phase of funding, but also as you grow your company. So, but with a strong will and desire, many of these challenges will overcome. Some companies are VC funded, so individuals are strong enough to convince to get some initial VC funding. Funding also depends on where you are in your company, what type of completion or you have in terms of a product. Is it in a concept phase or prototype phase or a customer facing phase? So, but if you have a strong desire and willingness to do it, I think you can do it. I would not see a reason why people should not go into entrepreneurship. If they have some great ideas, they can do it. But if they feel like they are lacking some ideas and some some means, they can gain that through the corporate culture and come back to entrepreneurship. When they feel like they have the confidence and the willpower to do it.
So do you think that MBA is a necessary skill to have?
No. MBA is not a necessary skill. If you look at a lot of the technologists, right? You see Bill Gates, you see Larry Ellison, you see a lot of these technologists. They did not do MBA, right? They are extremely good in technology, very good. They were passionate about technology. They live and breathe technology, and they built what they wanted to build. People who develop Facebook, right? So MBA is not needed. MBA is needed for people who want to build a great connection of networks, right? Of similar interest. MBA is needed to help improve management and management skills. Even in MBA, MBA is not always about entrepreneurship. You may get some guidance and all, but it won't give you what you need to do, to start a company. You may learn some logistics, but you can get those things from people like us. But MBA is really, if you can do it, it's fine. But I don't think it's necessary to be an entrepreneur.
So as we come to the end of this part of this first episode, we'd really love to have you on another day as well, because there is a lot to learn from you. But then the last thing that I would like to ask you right now is about what is that last set of advice you want to give to someone from our age who is starting out, who is in his first, second year of engineering college, who is not really sure of what he wants to do in life, but he has a little bit of understanding of maybe I want to go in this thing or on this thing. And on the second part of this question, what would be that one advice you, when you would have entered in this college, you would have liked to give to yourself back then?
So I will answer the third question first. If I want to give one advice to myself, and I would organize myself in a little bit a different way. If I would have finished MTech, that's one thing I would have done, because later in my career I tried to do it, but one reason or the other I could not do it. So that's what I would have done. Immediately after the college, I would have done MTech. The second, because the reason why doing MTech, I already explained, it'll bring some focus and guidance of your career later on, because undergraduate is not enough to get that focus and guidance in the career. The answer to your second and the first question is actually the answer to the third question, because what happens is when you're in the second year, the first year, you know that you joined engineering. So you probably had a lot of other choices. You had hotel management and medical and other choices, but you came to engineering. So something drew towards engineering to you. So you joined, you went through the entrance examination, you came here. But now you are in the engineering study, you have a specific branch, civil, mechanical, computer science, electronics, instrumentation, whatever it is, chemical, right? So within that, you have to pick a specialization for yourself. And what is that interest you, right? I mean, I can speak to computer science from where I came. Is it operating system? Is it microprocessor design? Is it machine learning? Is it artificial intelligence? So you can pick a specific topic of interest and focus your research and interest in that. What happens then is you become specialized, you become more knowledgeable than others. And when you join your corporation, automatically you will find a way to get into those areas and gain additional skills and resources and interest and willpower, and then you will continue in that on your entrepreneurship. So focus is extremely important, and I have seen people in doing the job and they want to get into entrepreneurship, but they have not focused their energy and interest in a specific area. They start very general thing. It's very hard to compete a startup company in a general set, because there are already a lot of companies who do that well. So focus and specialization is extremely critical for people who want to become an entrepreneur.
Okay, thank you, sir. With that, we'll wrap up our first session. It was lovely speaking to you. Would like to see you for more conversations out there in the future.
Thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching episode 1. We will catch up in episode 2. Till then, like, share, and subscribe, and share your Kahaniya in the comments.